I'm now joined by the champ, Georges St-Pierre, who I'm proud to now call a colleague at RDS. You know, during your career, George, sometimes you said you hated working with the media. Now you're one of us. How are you enjoying that experience?
I joined the enemy camp. I loved it, man. I love to be part of the team, and I'm glad to still be involved with the sport.
So you get to put your analyst hat on now. I mean, we have such big cards coming up, especially Khabib versus Justin Gaethje. When you look at that fight, how do you see it going? It's very, very stark contrast in fighters.
Yeah, man, you can't put your money against Khabib because he's undefeated. I think he's the best right now in the sport. Yeah, Justin can cause a problem, and the beauty of the sport is that we never know. That's why the fight is going to happen. You know, everything can happen. So I think if someone can beat Khabib, it's Justin. So it's going to be as a fan, and I want to see that fight for sure. And I'll be there as an analyst, commentator on the sport channel RDS to do the job as well, live.
Do you think it's possible for somebody to be able to control their nerves if they're going into a fight with Justin Gaethje, knowing his style?
Well, control the nerves. Everybody react in different ways in a moment of high pressure. You know, some it elevate them, some it make them underperform. So it depends to every individuals. You know, it's all up here. It's all in the mind. How you prepare yourself, and when you prepare yourself for a fight, it's not only physical. It has to be mental as well.
You know, it's the question everybody's wondering about is whether or not you're going to make your long-awaited return to the Marvel Universe. Is that going to happen? I've seen some pictures that might suggest such a thing.
Yeah, now, I mean, contractually, unfortunately, I can't talk too much about this project. But yeah, some leak came out, and I can't deny it. There's a big project going on that I was working on. It's going to be out in 2021 if everything goes according to plan.
Well, it's on IMDb now, George, so there's no hiding from it. Now it's official.
Oh, it is? Okay, so that's fine. I was late in the news.
Well, it's nice to see. You know, my son always says, you know, he doesn't get excited. He doesn't watch the UFC or anything. He's almost 10 years old, but he's excited that when I told him I met Batroc the Leaper, he was very excited about that.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a different world. I remember I went to Comic-Con to sign some autograph and stuff like that, and some people recognize me as, hey, this is George. This is Batroc the Leaper, and I was like, hey, you know, I was world champion in MMA as well, you know, but it's a two different world, you know, so that's why I like it so much. You know, it allowed me to play a villain, and it's a lot of fun, you know, because in real life I try to be a good role model, but when I play a villain, I can let it loose.
Another thing you're doing right now is you're working with O2 Respirators. It's a company that just partnered with the UFC. It's, I guess, masks for, you know, fitness, helping with fitness. If you could walk me through it, you're a better person to discuss this than I am because you're officially working with these guys.
Yeah, these masks, I'm happy it's made in Canada, and also they work with the Army, the US, and the Canadian forces. So they're very professional. It's the best quality mask that there is on the market. And I'm very happy because I'm working with them to develop a sport performance respirator. Because now the COVID, the crisis, the athlete, when it came out, will be able to train with a secure equipment and to protect themselves and protect others. So I'm very excited, and I'm working with them to develop that project.
Well, I saw that it's only about $300. I mean, when you look at what gyms are trying to do right now to safeguard themselves from COVID, is this something that they should recommend to people that are working out in gyms or in martial arts facilities?
Yeah, every sport is different. You know, in fighting, I believe it's pretty hard to keep social distancing while you're training, especially, for example, grappling sports. So you need to have another option. You know, you need to maybe develop the mask, and that's what we're doing now. We're going to develop the mask that you'll be able to not only practice martial art, but any sport that you will be that you will be safe and safe for others as well.
I saw a recent interview with you with BT, Adam Catterall, and you were talking about how you wanted to take your hiatus from the sport after you fought Nick Diaz, not after you fought Johnny Hendricks, but you had told Johnny that you were going to face him and you decided to do one more under the agreement that you guys would have with VADA, but that ended up falling apart. You also mentioned that you would have probably come back sooner had you have taken the break earlier. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that perhaps you might have taken a shorter hiatus had you left a little bit earlier than you did?
Yeah, it was a different time. I was pretty burned out, and I was ashamed to admit it at the time because to me, it was a shame because I was wealthy, I was healthy, and I was doing the job that I wanted to do, but I had so much pressure for so long and personal problem on top of that. For me, it was too much of a shame to admit that I was in some kind of depression. And I'm sure if I would have take my hiatus after Nick Diaz fight, I would have come back earlier. It was my mental state was not right at the time, and a little bit like what encouraged me to talk about it now. It's the heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. He talks about it. He had everything was going well. It's not that everything was going well for me at the time, but I felt that at the time I had personal issues too, but I was world champion. So to the eyes of people, oh, he's gonna complain because he's he's healthy, he's wealthy, he's champion. What he has to complain for. But people don't know really what happened in everyday's life, and it's all chemical in the brain and stuff. So I was a little bit of a shame, but I was not in a happy place at the time. So I should have retired earlier, and maybe I would have come back sooner. That's what I believe. But things turns out well anyway, so I cannot think.
Absolutely. Ended up winning another belt in the process. But, they say it's lonely at the top. And you mentioned that because Tyson Fury was comfortable talking about it, you became comfortable talking about it. And that kind of seems to be how the stigma around depression and mental illness is going by the wayside. When people see others who they perceive to be the strongest people in the world talk about something that they're going through, it really helps them along. So what exactly were you going through at that time? Like what kind of struggles were you going through on a day-to-day basis in order to A, prepare for Hendricks, and B, just get through life one day at a time?
Yeah, I was training because I had to, not because I wanted to. And also, it's this stigma that when everything appears to go well, it doesn't mean that it goes well. You know what I mean? What I show in front of the camera, what most people show in public, it's their good side. They don't want to show their bad side because it's in public, And I'm no different than any other people, in front of cameras and in interviews and stuff. I always try to be a good role model. But at the time, I had a lot of pressure. I was fighting against the performance-enhancing drug in the sport, and also the fact that at the time, UFC and my opponent did not support me. And I had personal issues in my life on top of that. So it's not because my life looked glamorous and nice that everything was nice inside. And I was ashamed to talk about it because to me, I was stuck, I would say, maybe in this kind of stigma like everybody else that, I'm not supposed to be depressed in the situation that I am because I have everything I need. So I was a little bit of a shame, and I regret that a little bit. I should have, that's one thing I regret is I should have stand up for myself and maybe not take the fight, just give away the belt, and I would have come back sooner. But maybe at the time people would not have understood, and it's guys like Tyson Fury is a great role model that give me and I'm sure other people the courage to come forward and talk about it.
And is a lot of that ego-driven? The perception that you feel people will have about you if you come out and say, listen, I'm struggling through something, I'm going to walk away for some time, I need some time to myself. Deep down inside, is that something that you're worried about in terms of how people would see you?
Yeah, my public life, it's my professional life, my career, it's a public life. And that's what people see. They see my achievement, how hard I work, and their perception is everything goes well. But for me, my real life, my private life is my family, my friend, what's going on inside. And this, I never let the public know about it because the only part of me that I want it to be public, it's my work, my career. I don't want to expose anybody else that doesn't deserve or doesn't need to be exposed for any reason to protect them. So things were not going well privately, and I had a lot of issues, and it affected me. I believe for an athlete, it's like a triangle, like you have the physical. If you get hurt physically, you can underperform. You have the technical, technical, it's all your knowledge, for a fighter, it's, the arm bars, the leg locks, takedowns, your kicks, your knowledge in terms of weaponry. And if you don't have that, you cannot perform. And also the emotional side, it's very important. And sometimes being overtrained, we call that, oh, you're overtrained. I don't believe it exists, but what can affect that and give you underperform is the fact that one of these three things: either you injure, maybe you don't know a certain technique to achieve, or you may be emotionally unstable. And for me, during that time, it was my life, my private life. I was emotionally unstable, and it was affecting me, not only in my sport, in my life, in my performance, and my preparation for my fight against Hendricks. And it is what it is, but I bite down my mouthpiece. I went through it, and I said to myself, I'm going to go all in. And after that, I couldn't take it anymore. And I was, after the fight, I was happy I won, but I was not in a happy place.
When you were on your hiatus, was there ever a time where you were very close to coming back, where they had offered you a fight, you looked at it and you said, maybe now is the right time? Which fights were offered to you during that time away? Are there any that you actually had a contract for, where you said, I got to take more time?
I think right after I left, I just wanted to leave the sport. I was tired. I was like, I think Dana White called me to fight Anderson Silva, or like a few weeks after. But it was not the time. I mean, it was, I would not have fought nobody, like not even if you would have put me with like a crazy good purse for nothing. I mean, I would not have fought nobody at that time. I was not mentally sound to fight, and I just wanted to get away, took care of my problems, and I was able to live a different life and there's different things that I didn't have the time to do during the time that I was busy fighting. And I'm happy. The break that I took allowed me to come back stronger, and I'm very glad I did it. I just wish I would have done it a little bit sooner, so I could have come back earlier.
It seems like Dana White during that whole hiatus would often say, George is retired. George doesn't want to fight. He always says George doesn't want to fight. He said it as recently as this past weekend, or last week when he was asked about what Khabib's going to do after Justin Gaethje. George doesn't want to fight. Did that ever annoy you, hearing that line? Because he said it so many times. And, obviously you've got to chalk it up to it being a negotiating ploy and trying to actually get you to come out of retirement. But how much did that annoy you then, and does it still annoy you now?
Well, it's normal. Dana is the best promoter in the world. He's the best. There's no other promoter as good as Dana White. I don't care if you talk about any other sport, boxing. Dana can sell. He can sell ice to an Eskimo. He can. He's so good. He's so good at driving people to watch the event, and even fighters. He's very good at saying stuff publicly that fighters get. Their ego hurts and want to come back just to prove a point, even if it logically doesn't make any sense. That's his job, and that's why he's the best in the world at doing it. He serves his own purpose, and I serve mine. And but he doesn't know what's going on up here in my mind. He can't decide for myself.
Well, I hate to ask you about coming back for the Khabib fight. Has there been any talks about it? Is it even in the back of your head at all? It has to come up every interview, and I hate to do it because you change every day. People are we move, we change our opinions on things every day. We change our mind on things every day. I'm guessing that as time goes by, it becomes less and less and less likely because, as you get older, you probably are getting more and more comfortable in retirement. You've got so many things on the go that are making you happy in life. Why step back into that, into the pressure cooker when you don't have to? But anything new to report, basically?
Yeah, why step back in? But why not step back in? We only live once. So that's the question that I'm facing now, you know? If I have an opportunity to do it and all the stars are aligned and I don't do it, because I still got it now, you know? I'm still, I would say, still in my best year. Will I regret when I reach 50 years old? Will I tell myself, oh, I wish I would have done that and I did not do it? It was an opportunity of a lifetime to fight a guy who's undefeated, who's never been beat, and I could have been the first. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like now it's COVID. Of course, the situation is different, but when I train, I still get it. I'm very confident. And if you would ask me right during training or before training, hey, would you like to fight again? I would be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down. But then after I go home and everything, and after a hot shower, then you go home, things come down, the adrenaline comes down, and you ask me, hey, would you like to fight? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure about it. You know, like I'm good where I am. I'm comfortable. I'm kind of satisfied. You know what I mean? Satisfaction for an athlete is the death. Is that you're done. You're finished when you're satisfied. So in order to come back, I'm in a mental state of mind that I'm not sure. The star would need to be all aligned perfectly. 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, it's already almost 3 years. We tried to make the fight with Khabib. I wanted to go all in. I was ready for it. Anything goes, you know. I was all in. Now things have changed. 3 years have goes by, COVID and all that. I kind of let go of the idea of coming back to fight. You know what I mean? So I would need to put me back into a different warrior mode up here, because when I fight, my brain doesn't function the same way than when I'm in normal life. You know, like I'm very, maybe it's because of my obsessive compulsive thing that I'm so focused on it, like almost nothing else matter. I'm only focused on one thing. It's to win, and what I need to do to win, it's I need to achieve it and do it at all costs. So I would need to rewire myself if I get to fight again.
So the message to Dana White is get a spy in at TriStar, and as soon as George is about to go in for a sparring session, get him on the phone. That's the key for Dana White right now if he's watching.
Yeah, it's to get me in the good timing, and also that the star needs to be aligned. And then, you know, there's a lot of infrastructure problems, and you know, the weight class, the you know, he's fighting at 155. I know I can go at 155, but the problem is I believe now I'm 39. I'm it's 3 years have passed, and I haven't cut weight for a long time. You know, if I go down to 155, my performance will be compromised. And I know Khabib is about the same size as me. He's maybe bigger than me when he's off season. I never go up to 200. I'm 185. So that's it. Turns to his advantage. If we cut more weight, he's able to bounce back more than I am. He's used to it. I've never been a big fan of cutting weight. Even when I was a welterweight, I was 185. Most guys now are much bigger than 185. But yeah, that's one of the principle of the art of war. You know the terrain. And I don't know. I never fought at 155. He knows. So I believe to make it fair, we need to fight in a place where we've never been, both of us. So that would have to be a condition to me coming back if it happened.
Well, in the meantime, it's nice to have you as part of the extended TSN family over at RDS. Two-division champion, going into the Hall of Fame this year. There's nobody who is as big of a lock to go into the Hall of Fame as you are, and I always appreciate your time. It's great catching up with you.
Thank you, Aaron. It's good to see you. Take care of yourself, and thanks for everything.